Hello, welcome everybody to our webinar Wednesday today. It is July, oh my goodness, 15th already. Thank you for joining us today. We're happy to invite our friends, local and not local, from the Nationwide Regions Bank. I am Jenny Morris. I'm the Executive Director of the Autism Support of Alabama, and I'm so happy that everybody is here today. We're going to start us off. I'm going to introduce Sarah Moss. She is the Vice President of Market Engagement, and Sarah is in Birmingham. And so, Sarah, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, Jenny. Thank you for having us. We are so excited to be able to be here today. One of the great things I get to do in my role is see how we can relate our bank back to the community and support the people in those communities that we serve. I am so honored to work for a bank that focuses on banking for everyone and disability services and outreach. And we are proud to be a bank that can support people with different disabilities throughout their servicing needs here at Regions. So with that, I want to pass it over to you, Jenny. I'm excited for y'all to hear from my great friend, Schiela. She has truly one of the best jobs at the bank, and excited for her to be able to share how Regions can support those in our community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. And let me go ahead and introduce Schiela Pena. She is doing our presentation today from Regions Bank called Banking for Everybody. Schiela, thank you for joining us today.
Sure. Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate being here today. And thank you, Sarah, for the warm introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. First, again, I want to thank Jenny and the Autism Support of Alabama for allowing us to be here today. Regions is truly excited to be here. We appreciate the opportunity to share some of our resources and just an opportunity to get engaged with such a supportive community. My name, as they said, is Schiela Pena. I serve as the Disability Services and Outreach Manager for Regions Bank. Say that 5 times really fast. In my role, I have the privilege of working with incredible organizations just like the Autism Support of Alabama to share resources, learn from our community members, and then also advocate and support for individuals and families through community engagement. As we look at this, we also focus in on when we look at volunteerism initiatives and financial education opportunities such as this one. Today, as you got to meet Sarah Moss, who you just heard from, and also we have several Regions employees who are joining us today that are equally engaged in community engagement and are excited to be here. So we're want to thank my team for being here as well. Before I want to begin, I just want to let you know this work is very personal to me, and from the standpoint that with my role, being able to work with organizations that really help people achieve independence, work towards self-sufficiency and the opportunity. The whole point when we look at Regions and helping to make life better is really to remove barriers to accessible resources. And so from that standpoint, we want to help people gain more confidence in managing their finances, navigating everyday experiences, and then having the chance just to make a difference in their lives. So with that, today's session is going to be a very high-level overview of accessibility resources, services, and tools that Regions has to help work towards financial independence. As we talk, please feel free to engage, raise your hand, virtually, digitally, ask questions in the chat. Our Regions associates who are helping us out today will be monitoring the chat along with Jenny, so that if you have questions or you want to respond to something or react, please jump right in. Do not hesitate to wait to the end for that. I love that and love the engagement. After we conclude this portion of the session, we'll go ahead and transition into our Money Basics for Life curriculum. Basically, it'll be a modified, abbreviated presentation just to kind of give you an idea of what our financial wellness curriculum is. And it's called Managing Your Money, which I know budgeting is not super exciting, but trust me, you're going to love this. So from that, let's go ahead and get started. So with the first slide, Timothy, go to the next one. We're going to talk about our Autism Awareness Initiative. And so when we look at autism awareness, there's some of the things that we have that designation from yours truly, because we worked with the Autism Support of Alabama from the standpoint of being able to look at ways to help people move towards self-sufficiency and independence. So we believe that banking should be accessible and welcoming to everyone. And so as we look at today's discussion, we're going to focus on some of the resources that are designated to support people with financial independence and confidence. And I apologize, I talk fast, so I'm going to slow down because I get excited when I start talking about this. But we'll also go explore tools, financial educational resources, and practical supports that are available for our customers and communities. And the whole idea here, our goal today is just to help individuals and families better understand resources that are available to them and then how they can access them. And so what I want to do is, one, when we talk about our Autism Awareness Initiative, I've got a screen over here I'm clicking on so that we can be a little more interactive too. From the standpoint of when we look at resources that we have, Timothy, I'm going to take the screen for one hot second, if that's okay. And so the thing is, when we look at our Autism Awareness Initiative, I'm going to take the screen for 1 second. Okay. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So we talk about accessible resources. We talk about our Autism Awareness Initiative. We want to make sure that we look at ways that we are able to support our communities. And so when we look at autism awareness, we look at basically we have sensory kits that are in every branch that we have. And so from that standpoint, Regions has over 1,250 branches. We have those autism sensory packs in each one of those branches. Are you seeing my screen? Can you raise your hand if you're seeing my screen with the Autism Awareness Initiative? Perfect. So when you see this from the standpoint that all the sensory packs have a fidget cube, they have the sunglasses, they also have a stress ball and earbuds in there. And from that standpoint, when somebody is overstimulated or if they need an opportunity to kind of decompress quietly, we are able to provide the autism sensory packs. Also, we have designated quiet spaces in every branch so that people can basically go into a quiet space, dimly lit, and being able to kind of decompress. And also we give those packs to the person to keep as theirs when they when that happens. And then once the episode is passed, from that standpoint, we are happy to engage in being able to help them complete the transaction or whatever is needed. From that standpoint, when we look at this, and what I'll do is I'll stay on this page really quick because we're instead of flipping back and forth to make it easier. When we talk about that, we also have resources which I'm going to talk about, which is financial wellness and the money basis for life, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But then also the Magnus app cards. And so I'm going to talk through those really quick so that way when you see them, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But when we look at this, the Money Basis for Life is our curriculum. Basically, Regions has a financial wellness session, a program that has 16 different modules. It covers everything from basic building financial confidence all the way up to diversifying your portfolio and everything in between. We also realize that sometimes if we want to kind of have it broken down so that we can really work on financial confidence, especially when we think about the autism community or neurodiversity. We want to make sure that we have a curriculum that is one, it's accessible, it is relevant, and also from the standpoint that it helps to build that confidence. And so when we look at that, we taken 3 of our modules and basically managing your money, which is the one we're going to see today, which really helps you just work on how you can start managing your money and how you save money. And then our other module that we have that's readily available is the credit and identity theft. And again, with this one, it gives you an overview of, what does credit cost, how can you use it wisely, and then also some of the ways that you can avoid identity theft and some of those common practices or scams that are out there to kind of help you better prepare and from the standpoint of being able to have that advice, guidance, and education. One of the other things that I'm looking at that as far as the tools and resources we have a very innovative partnership with an organization called Magnus Mode. And with Magnus Mode, this is a company that really works with the neurodiverse community, also working with those who are older. And now after a meeting we had yesterday, they are also working with young youth. And so basically with the Magnus cards, it's a step-by-step digital deck of cards and helps people who are elderly, autistic, or neurodiverse really be able to move towards self-sufficiency and working independently to do transactions. Transactions, life skills, or just regular everyday activities. And when we look at this, we do Regions as an inclusion partner for the money management piece of it. And so there's a recurring theme that you're hearing, money management today. Really, because it can be a little intimidating doing finances. So we want to give the confidence and help utilize tools that do that. With this, Regions is an inclusion partner, and based off of that, one, you can download the Magnus Card app. It's super easy to do from your either an Apple Store or Google Play. There's no fee for it, and it's not you do not have to bank with Regions to use it. It's great for anyone who, no matter where you bank. You get to follow the instructions to create your own account, and then basically you get to click on the money management icon and start learning. And it's really great because it's gamified, it's digitized. And so basically when you look at this, it gives you a step-by-step guide on how to accomplish certain tasks or activities. With us being a financial partner, basically this is kind of an example of what Regions cards look like. So you get a step-by-step. There's 13 cards in this money management deck, and it shows you how to deposit check at an ATM. And so and what's great about it is you obviously have the pictures. It's also auditory. So if you want to listen to it, the instructions, or if you want to read, it has all three different ways for you to gain that information. It's also in Spanish. When you look at that, as you complete the decks of cards, you get points, and minus, there's a little icon in there, gives you like rewards for that. So from that perspective, also we have online banking, and there's 21 cards that will show you exactly what you need to do from logging into a region screen, what that looks like when you pull up your account, and really helping you step by step. The other three that we have is to open a checking account. And what's awesome about that is as we go to open an account, making sure you know what you need when you get there, who you're going to see and interact with. And so again, it's just a great step-by-step resource to have there. With that, basically letting you know that also on this page, when we have this and all these resources are available to anyone, that we have articles and things that are out there and resources available, so that, you know what, if you're looking towards how you want to be able to manage your funds, if you were looking for education or curriculum, those things are out there and those resources are available. One other resource I will share with you about that is available here, and we talk about one, our autism initiative, which we have, and we want to make sure that our associates go through training at least once a year to be aware of the initiative and the resources we have available. We also, we've touched on the accessible banking services that we have. Again, we have these pages that are updated so that the information is user friendly and it's easy to disseminate to friends, caregivers, loved ones, or others when you're looking for ways to just move towards independence and self-sufficiency. And so with that, I'm going to give back the screen to you, Timothy. Hopefully I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Okay, cool. Okay, so basically when we look at this from our Autism Awareness Initiative, we'll just say right here really quick. But again, each branch has a designated autism sensory pack and a quiet room. We have accessible financial wellness resources, which was the Money Basics for Life. And then I've listed those here. And then the Magnus Cards app. And then we are really dedicated to providing financial education. And so whether it's us teaching, whether it's us just coming in and doing a one-on-one consultation, if you have questions, that's what we're here for. And that's what as banks we are supposed to be able to do. Next slide. I promise I'll spend this much time on the rest of it. So next slide. With the Magnus Card app, I showed you how those work. And basically, when we look at this, here's a list of the overview of the banking transactions that it does, as I showed you on there. One thing to note, though, Magnus Cards have various apps for shopping, health and wellness, travel, investments, all these different things that you can do. So there's a lot of ways to help work towards a holistic approach to self-advocacy and independence. So it's a wonderful resource. Again, you don't have to bank with Regions and it's free. I strongly encourage you to download that, and you'll get the deck afterwards so you can see how to do that if that's of interest. And we're always here to answer questions as well. Next slide. So when we talk about accessibility resources and when we talk about banking for everyone, we want to make sure that when you come to do your banking, that one, it's inclusive, it's easy to navigate, and also that you have the support and resources that you need. And so we want to make sure that it's welcoming and there's not friction when you're trying to do banking. So we want to make sure that as you look at that, making aware of resources we have. For hearing accessibility, we do use the TTY machines. We also offer the relay. We are able to use the relay services. And for clients who may need, who may either have a hearing impairment or even a speech impairment, that we have sign language interpreters that we can provide. And so at no cost to our clients. For vision accessibility, we offer any kind of statement, all statements or anything that we are able to produce. If you need that in Braille or large print, we're able to do that. We also can do that. We put them on CDs if it's easier for you to listen, or if someone doesn't read Braille. And then also from banking and those terms, we can do site checks, which has raised lines to kind of help you when you're drawing and kind of navigating where you're writing. We've touched on the accessible financial wellness resources. I love them and I can get stuck on those, so we're going to keep moving. But just from the standpoint that we do have accessible online banking, we are compliant with the WCAG requirements. And so from that standpoint, we really try to go above and beyond to make sure that we have the resources available for our clients to make banking easier. We also, with our accessible ATMs, they are talking ATMs. And so there's jacks in them so that people can listen to that and do their banking privately, but also that we have raised with Braille and raised bumps on our ATMs to kind of help make it navigating either A, to read Braille, or B, if you don't, you know exactly where the starting point is to help navigate that way. Any questions so far? Is there anything for me? Not yet. When we look at this as far as accessible banking and so how to access our services, when the site that I showed you, what was nice to know about that is that the panel is easy to navigate. So you saw that on that one screen where I had we had the region's autism awareness initiative up, but then there was the hyperlinks off to the side, and that allows you to easily navigate and just be in one spot and navigate all of those quickly. From the standpoint also is that if you need to request support once you're on there, my information is also out there and it'll be on the end of this deck so that you can contact me. But we always want to make sure that one, if you have questions about our resources, if you have questions about how to complete either a task or there's been a bump in the road and you need help navigating, we want to make sure that you have connectivity to us so we can help you with that. So when we look at managing your money, and I used to be a financial wellness manager for Regions for 6 years, and I love financial wellness. I'm very excited about it. But the thing is, I know it's not super exciting to everyone. However, managing your money is my favorite. I think budgeting sometimes can be thought of as like a diet, which kind of has a negative connotation, but really it's just like a spending plan. So, you plan how you're going to spend, you plan how you're going to save, and then making sure that you don't spend more than you have in your account. So first, when we look at budget basics and the savings for goals, we want to make sure one opening up your first bank account. We are able to provide advice, guidance, and education on how to do that, things you should ask about, things you should look out for, as far as fees and things of that nature. And so that way, one, you can have an empowered conversation with your banker when you go to sit down and open that first account. How to use a debit card responsibly, understanding the credit versus debit, and also, when you're swiping, what that timing looks like to give you a better idea of how that's all going to come about, and basically making sure, again, that you have those funds in your account and making sure you don't overspend, or what happens if there's a hiccup. To managing a budget or a spending plan, basically just showing you, a process that works for you. And basically giving you resources saying, okay, whatever format works best. And I think they used to say, people love the spreadsheet, some people love the budget box, some people love, the old school writing it in a register. Some of you may not know what I'm talking about, but the register was how we did it in the old days. I still have one. But the thing is, regardless of which process works for you, how we can help you get into a routine so you're doing that consistently. And then learning to save for goals. And so when we look at things that we're saving for, and that's part of the things that we look at in the managing your money module, you'll see that is that sometimes, we talk about life happens. And so I get questions a lot when we do our money basis for life presentation on what happens if I have an emergency, or how do I start saving for that? And so those are some of the things that we can help navigate and help you understand. Again, when we're having these sessions or we have a presentation or we get a chance to meet with amazing people like you, we turn around and say, okay, these are things you can always take back to your banker. We encourage you to sit down and have that conversation, because honestly, your banker's your advocate and your partner. And so when you have a plan and say, I'm saving for X, Y, or Z, that's what our role is, to help you get there. So we always encourage you to meet with your banker, talk to them. If you need to speak with us, we're always happy to be a resource to do that for you. And then we'll talk about the money basics for life sessions. And one thing that says on here, the last one about building confidence and branch visits, something we do across our footprint. And I'm based out of Indiana, so it's not quite as hot here. So the thing is, it's in the 90s though. But the thing is, one of the things that we do here, and also we do a lot throughout Birmingham and other markets, is that we do branch visits. And so with some of the organizations that we have that we partner with in our community partners, if they're interested in bringing a group into a branch, we love doing that. And basically it gives everyone an opportunity to come in, meet the bankers, kind of see how the layout of the branch works. We go in the vault. We also sometimes will do mock transactions. So that way, I know when I got my first checking account, it was very stressful to be in a bank. And so being able to kind of have that opportunity to kind of go through and look at what the process is, being able to make sure that you understand who the person is you need to go to when you go in there, or if you have a question, we're happy to do that. So if that's ever of interest, know that we're happy to look at doing that, or kind of scheduling those just so that you have an opportunity to do a branch visit. So can we go back? Was that the same one?
Yes, that's 7.
That's it. Okay. Okay. And so as we look at this, from the standpoint of looking at, we talked about point of contact. If you go out to our site, my information will be out there. As a disability services and outreach manager, I do cover all 16 states that Regions has operations in. I work with close with community organizations, and from the standpoint of being able to look at how we can work on accessibility related initiatives. We work internally with amazing partners like those that are joining me from Regions today. I work with a lot of community external organizations, and I welcome opportunities to answer questions. If there's resources that you have that we should be aware of, because it's always about learning and collaboration and how we can always encourage and support each other. So from that standpoint, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Send me an email if you want to text me. Either way, just definitely know that I'm a resource here. And even from the standpoint, if you have something going on with your organization or you would like information or resources, sensory packs, we do those things as well. So please let us know how we can be a partner to you. So this brings us to the end of our accessibilities portion of our presentation. I'm going to pause for a second as we get ready to set up for the managing your money or money basis for life segment. Did not know. Are there any questions for me right now? No. Okay. What I will say. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. So one of the things that we always want to make sure that we share is that when we do a session like this, and like I said, it'll be an abbreviated session. Our sessions are usually 45 minutes to an hour. And basically what we do is we give it the presentation's about 45 minutes when we do these, and most of our presentations are, but we always like to allow time for questions. And so the thing is, because sometimes we'll talk about one thing and it'll spark interest in something else. And so we want to be able to share that information too. So we always build that in. But today we're only just going to keep you like maybe about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, unless I get really crazy and excited about it, but I won't keep you long. So from the standpoint, when we look at this, we just want you to realize that all the information is very general in nature. We realize everyone's situation is unique. So we want to make sure that when we're talking about this, we talk about it at a very high level. We are not tax consultants. We cannot give investment advice or legal advice. So from that standpoint, if those things come up, we're happy to help you make connections for that, but just wanting to bear that in mind as we get started. So when we look at this, we look at our managing your money, we're going to basically just answer two big questions. We're going to keep it really simple. We're going to talk about how you can manage your money and then how you can start to save money. So when we have these sessions, we always want people to feel comfortable. I know for me, I have a lot of nervous energy, so I always have fidget toys or things like that with me when I'm having to speak or sit for long times. So honestly, truly, when we have sessions like this, we want to make sure, one, that we're, where everybody can hear. So we ask that you mute your computer or your phone. But if you need to get up and stretch or move around, absolutely do that. If you have questions, please raise your hand and let us know, because we want to make sure we include that in the conversation. Or if you need me to go back and share something, or if you have something that you want to share, please do that. And then we always encourage that if you need to take a break, just do it. So we want to make sure that everybody's comfortable and that one, you're in the best position to learn and receive the information. So as we look at this, let's learn about money. And when I say that, basically, we talk about the history of money and where did it come from. And so we'll go to the next slide. Thank you. I kept jumping ahead. I apologize, Timothy. Thanks for being patient with me. So when we look at this, how do we use money? And so when we look at this, we usually go, through each individual step and explain that to you. But it gives you that understanding of that, when we first started it, from where we are today to where it started with bartering, and understanding that, maybe people don't want to exchange a pineapple for a fish because that doesn't work well. So trying to find something else that's better. And then just kind of going through how things have changed over the years. And it's interesting that as you look at this, it wasn't until 500 BC that the first, modern coins started coming about. And then 806 AD, where the first paper money was created in China. Of course, going to 1860, then we have the gold standard. And then here's where we are today, where I think everybody uses their phone, or most people use their phone. Generally, people use their phone. It shouldn't be overgeneral, or a debit card. And so when we look at this, as we talk about managing your money, it's always kind of like you always begin with the end in mind. So we want to always basically explain, one, the process, how it came about, and then also give a foundational understanding of how we use money and why we use it. Next slide. When we look at this, some of the things that we think is really important is there's a lot of words that we've heard before. And I know there's things, especially when I started working for a bank over 30 years ago, I was like, okay, I thought a CD was something you listen to, and it is, but in a bank it means something a little different. So it's a certificate of deposit. So what we always want to do is make sure that when we teach our managing your money session, we want to start with basic banking words. And so the things that you hear. And so, a bank is a financial institution, that holds money and lends money to people. And we think about bankers, those are the people that help us. And we know there's a wide variety of bankers that are in the bank. And so that's kind of part of the reason with the branch visit too. It gives you a chance to kind of see the different bankers and what they do. In their roles, or even being in a unique role like mine is, I'm in community engagement, and so, but they still consider me banker. They let me still come in. So, but then also savings accounts. That it's a place where you put money that you don't need to use right away. And then we'll talk about interest. And one, it's money that the bank pays you for the right to lend money to others. And so, in essence, one, when you put your money in the bank, especially in a savings account, you're going to earn interest on that. And because the bank's going to give that money back out to someone else, we're going to say, hey, we appreciate you letting us use your money, so we're going to give you a little interest on that. And so that's a really smart and safe way to store your money. Next slide. Other words that we look at as well is from the standpoint of online banking. And the reason why I look at this online banking or automatic draft and automatic transfers, you're going to find that a lot of our resources work together. So you can learn at your own pace. You can focus on one resource at a time, like Magnus Mode. The Magnus Cards app, that gives you that whole Magnus Card deck on online banking. And so you get the phrases, you get to see how that process works. And so when we do the managing your money or the money basics for life, we get to introduce those concepts. We explain that it's an electronic system that allows you to manage your money via the internet. Then also looking at automatic drafts. Basically, it's the money that's taken out of the bank at the same time every month to pay bills. And what's great about the automatic draft is, one, it helps you keep track of what's going on in your account. And then automatic transfers. Sometimes it's just moving money back and forth because you want to save and you have too much money in your checking account, or you need to put a little more money in there. So you move that money back and forth. And what you'll see is as we teach these sessions, we continue to build on each other. So you'll see that we're introducing 3 new sessions here. And then we are going to go over the ones that we've already taught you about. The checking account is money you're going to use right away. Savings for money that you need to use later. Your balance, and we did this on another slide, is that it's the money that you actually have on deposit in your account that's available for use. And then we talked about the interest piece. So from that standpoint, when we also talk, and I know these are money words, but also we want to talk about the concepts, because when we're talking about managing your money, credit cards, those are things that let you buy now and pay later. Now we talk about interest that the bank pays you for letting them use your money, but there's also money that you have to pay for borrowing money. And so when you're using a credit card, basically you're borrowing somebody else's money to kind of buy something right now. And I mean, they look really happy. And this is kind of how I look when I'm coming out of Bath and Body Works or Kohl's or something. So I totally can relate to that. The thing is though, but if I use my Kohl's charge card, if I use a charge card to pay for my Bath and Body Works, I'm going to have to pay someone else interest because I'm borrowing their money right now. The nice part though is with a debit card, when you're swiping that, you swipe right away. It lets you buy something now and you're paying for it now, which is great. And it takes it right out of your checking account. So you don't owe anything later. The whole idea is that you have to be careful because you want to make sure that you have enough money in your account. Your balance is enough to cover what you spent. And so from that perspective, that gives you a little understanding of kind of like the credit versus debit, but then also how that affects your balance. Next slide. So now let's talk about spending money, which is something that's really fun if it's the fun stuff that you want to do, but also we have to spend money on things that we need, right? Wants versus needs. So we'll go ahead and talk about how we spend money. See, it's almost like I gave you a preview of what we were doing. So when we talk about wants versus needs, there's a lot of times where we go ahead and just spend and we don't think about it. And a lot of when we talk about a spending plan or why a budget is important is because it helps to reduce stress. Because if I'm spending and I'm hoping, that there's going to be enough money to cover it, it's a little stressful. It's kind of living on the edge. And some people like that. But, we want to make sure that when we help to reduce stress, you have a plan and, you're saving for something and making sure that you're able to have enough money to save for that. So when we talk about wants versus needs, usually I'll ask, what are some examples of wants and what are some examples of needs? But the thing is, when you're thinking about your money, you want to basically get it in your mind and kind of have a good idea of what that would be, because oftentimes we're led by emotional spending, or we're led by the new fragrance at Bath and Body Works, or we're led by Starbucks or something of that nature, and that we think it's a need, but it's really a want. So that's one of the things that we look at our budget, and there's a category for it. It's not bad to get Starbucks or Kohl's or whatever the thing is that we like to do. We just need to make a category for it. Next slide. So that's where we talk about budgeting. So make sure that we're spending wisely, making sure we're in control of our finances. Our finances are not controlling us. That's where we develop that spending plan or budget. It's not as intimidating or as hard as it seems. I think sometimes when we think about how to get started, it gets a little overwhelming. So we're going to give you some really quick ideas on how we can get started on that and make it really easy to follow. So the first thing you do is need to keep track of your spending. And so the thing is, and I don't know, you can answer quietly, this is a no judgment zone, but how many of you have ever taken $20 out of the ATM and then by the end of the day have no idea where the money went? And so I've done it. And so when you look at that, it's like, okay, am I keeping track of my spending? Probably not. And so when we do that with 20 bucks, that's one thing. But when we start doing that with larger amounts of money, where we're writing checks or we're shopping, or my debit card, I love it so much. It smokes is how much I use my debit card. But that's all good. But if I'm not tracking it, that can get you into trouble as well. So you want to be careful about that. So the reason why we want you to do that is track your spending is because, one, it gives you control of your money. You know what's going in, what's going out, and also you know what you have available left to save after that's done. So when we look at this session on managing your money, it's really important that you track your spending, and we show you how to do that. Typically and we'll send out information afterwards as well, but we'll give you a template of what the budget looks like or what a sample spending plan looks like. And the best thing is you can modify it to be whatever it is that works best for you and your situation, your family. But the whole idea is just to get something down that you're going to do. Cash flow is something we talk about. We'll go back for one second, sorry. But the cash flow is basically how much, when I talked about going in and how much is coming out, that's called cash flow. We always want to make sure when you have a spending plan or a budget that it's even. So that means you have just the same amount coming in as you have going out. Preferably, you have more coming in than going out, but you want to make sure that you look at that because at the end of the month, you want to be positive. Okay, now we go to this. So when we look at know your income, basically anything that you get on a recurring basis that comes in with the wages, allowance, money from the government, SSI, anything you're getting on a regular basis income that's coming to you as a deposit is income. And so when you look at that, you always want to make sure you track that and making sure that you give yourself credit because that's what you're going to be able to use to offset what you're spending. Next slide. So when we look at this, and this is just a sample paycheck, and I know a lot of us may get checks via direct deposit. Some of us still get checks, a paper check. Some people get paid in cash. And so as we look at this, whatever way you're receiving income, there's gross income, and then there's net income. And when you look at your pay stub, the gross is before everything gets taken out. For taxes, Medicare, the government has to get theirs too. Retirement, which is awesome. I love seeing that. And then after all those come out, that's your net. When you're looking at doing a spending plan, you always want to focus on doing your net income because that's where everything's been taken out already, and that's going to give you the real number of where you need to proceed as far as what you have to spend and to save. Know your expenses. And so when that looks like from that standpoint, basically there are, we talked about net income. There's also two types of expenses. There's fixed expenses and there's variable expenses. Fixed expenses is an expense that you're going to receive at the same amount every month. So it could be rent, it could be your if you have a home payment, if you have a car payment. Sometimes your cell phone bill is fixed. But the thing is, variable means it's going to fluctuate. It's going to change from month to month. And so if you have, again, it could be a fixed amount, it could be a variable amount as far as your cell phone goes. But utilities are sometimes variable. Gas is variable. Food, how much we spend, depending on, and the grocery prices keep going up. But from that standpoint, those things can be variable as well. And so knowing which one your expenses are, is this going to be fixed every month? Is it going to be variable that one? Next slide. So as we look at this budget and expenses, this is again, you'll get to do a little bit of work off camera, and you don't need to answer. But from the standpoint we look at this, one thing I'm going to ask you is to be thinking about this. How does this budget look to you? Based on what we know about cash flow, based on what we know about how our spending plan is, that we want it to be balanced. Basically looking at this. So the income here, and again, you'll see all these account wages, government support, allowance, family support, monetary support, anything you receive on a regular basis that's coming to you as for income is counted as income. And so our total income is $2,685. Then we look at expenses. It's housing, it could be car payment, car insurance. Our total fixed expenses, that means those are going to be the same every single month, is $1,195. And then when we look at our variable expenses, it is amazing how different our expenses can be because we look at all these expenses that are in there, but also from the standpoint, if we have pets, if we have kids, if you have things that your clubs that you're involved in, if you save for gifts on a monthly basis, there's different things you can put in here. But one thing I'll note that I'll bring to you, because as a banker, it's near and dear to our heart, that they're saving every month. They're saving $260 a month. And that's wonderful. The nice thing about that also being variable is, guess what? If life happens that month and I need to kind of reduce that, I may only be able to do 200 this month, or I may only be able to do 50 this month. But from that standpoint, this lets you know it's a variable expense, but as long as you're saving something. At the end of the day, when you look down here, we talked about a balanced budget. And so I'm going to ask the question, and you don't have to answer or raise your hand, but at the end of the day, how did they do? Well, they have as much coming in as they have going out, so they're balanced, and that's good. We want you to be balanced and knowing that, guess what? They're actually putting some money away, so it's not all just going out. Again, preferably if you can save more, then that's great. But honestly and truly, if you're a balanced budget, that's where you want to be if your spending plan. And this lets you know where your money's going. Next slide. So now we talk about savings, and one of the things we talked about is having a savings goal. And so when you talk about that, it's like one that I don't know if you've all have heard of the 80-10-10 rule, but the thing is, you spend 10, you save 10, then 80% of that, the rest of your fund income goes to budget expenses, bills, obligations. Couldn't think of the word. So when we look at this, next slide. So when we talk about why do we save, when we tell you to put that entry on there, some people do charitable giving. Sometimes it could be savings for you, and so from that perspective, it's just a great way when you talk about if life happens. A lot of times people say, can you come up with $1,500 or $2,000 if you had an emergency? It's just a way to kind of start saving towards that emergency fund. But there's other reasons why you should save. Next slide. So we talked about emergencies, but if you're going on a trip, if you're going to school, or if you have a major purchase that's coming up, not having to worry about pulling that out or putting it on a credit card, just depleting your savings account. One, if you save up for something specific and it happens, then you know that money's been set aside. You continue to save for that. Life happens. Flat tires are super expensive. So the thing is, knowing that you have that money set aside is very helpful, especially in times of emergencies. Slide. So when we look at this, we talked a little bit about interest earlier. And so from that standpoint, that's the money that the bank gives you, or gives it to you, deposits for you, because of the fact that you've allowed us to lend your money out that you've put on deposit with us. And you see she's extremely happy to where she starts very small and gradually builds up. And that's exactly what happens over time. I can't say that it jumps exponentially like that, but the thing is, over time, the money does continue to grow. And so when you make regular payments to your savings account, the higher your balance, the more interest you will earn on that, because it is based off of your balance, the annual percentage you get. Next slide. When we look at this, you'll see this is a sample. So some people will say, you know what, I can only save $5, and that's fine. The whole idea is just save. And so if you start with $5, or in this instance, we're saving $50. Each month you'll see that the amount is listed in the total year to date. And it continues to accumulate month by month, that by the time they get to December, they have $600 saved. And from that standpoint, the amount of interest is $18 they've earned. And you may say that's not staggering, but that's $18 more than you had. And also your money saved on deposit, and you have that extra income that you can in turn keep building on from there. So when we talk about how to make your money grow, basically by just kind of getting in a habit of putting it on your spending plan. We talk about set it and forget it. You know, sometimes people put a direct, transfer into their account. Or my checking and my savings every month, $5. That's going to help me save. And so from that perspective, those are the things that we look at, and ways that you can save, grow money, and then also continue to increase your savings, reach your savings goals. So sometimes we look at from the standpoint that we don't have a lot of extra money to save or spend on things. And so honestly, there are different things that we encourage people to do, or we talk about what else can I do. And so some of the examples of things that you can do for free, and that's how you can also save money, is, hanging out with friends, being able to kind of do, like you see somebody doing a cooking class here, using your skills that you know how to do and being able to kind of give that back to someone else and someone paying you for your skills. Volunteering, which at Regions, we'd love to volunteer. So our associates are awesome. Case in point, so many of them joining us today. But then also, if you look at things, being able to kind of go to the library, learning a new skill, you see somebody coaching or just being one with nature. just being able to kind of take advantage of some of the things that we may not have to spend money on, but we can still enjoy from that perspective. And then this is a little bit more of a visual for our Magnus cards. On when we talked about that before, and I showed you the sites with different pages. With this Magnus card, it's like I said, it's really to help with our neurodiverse customers, really help move towards independence, being able to do some of the tasks and things that you want to do without having to have somebody right there next to you. You're able to do it independently, and it's a step-by-step guide for you. And so basically you access this by downloading the app. And again, and I'm not a tech guru, but it's Google Play Store or the Apple Store. And when you download that app, again, it doesn't cost anything, and you don't have to bank with Regions. But how I talked about the money management or Regions being an inclusion partner, you'll see here there's card decks for being the social things that are doing social, healthcare, home care, food, shopping, safety. And so from that perspective, it's a really wonderful resource. And so we encourage you to do that. And again, talking about the different tools that we have, you'll see if you click on the money management deck, that, Regions isn't one of the inclusion partners there. And then again, the card decks that we have out there, and we have 5 different card decks out there, looking at how we can help our clients there. If you're interested in the Magnus card or even just checking it out, there's a QR code, and we can send that information out separately. But it's just a great resource for you to have to share with you have loved ones. If you're a care provider or caregiver, these are great resources to be able to share as we look at helping people, one, bank independently and moving towards financial independence. So as we wrap this portion up, basically, when we look at the managing your money, we do often have a few more slides that are included in that. We have a few more games that are in there that allow you to be able to one, just drive home wants versus needs. We have some additional things where we're in there to where we kind of talk about some examples of ways that you can either learn the value of money when you talk about things how much things cost, and being able to kind of put that together as you look at building your spending plan. And so one of the things that we always want to say is making sure that, one, you have a plan for your money, how to manage that. We hopefully you were able to glean a couple tips that will help you with saving, but also from the standpoint of knowing, as we're able to partner with organizations and individuals, because we work independently with our clients and customers and community members as well. We're here to be a resource to answer questions, to really help provide advice, guidance, and education, really to help people have that confidence and build financial independence. We have a couple of resources, and again, with Jenny, when we send the deck out over, she'll send this information out to you. So if you have questions, we have lots of tools and resources like calculators. If you're looking to buy a car, making a large purchase, or even just knowing how much you want to save to reach a goal, those are out there. And there's lots of interactive videos, just different things that you can do as far as helping you on your financial journey. It's wonderful. You can get lost in it. I get really excited because you can do that like at 11 o'clock at night in your jammies if you want to. Not that you probably want to do financial wellness, but you could if you wanted to. But just that you know that you have these resources that help you to bank. I'm sorry, learn how to about banking services on your own schedule and at your own pace. And I think that might be, is that our last slide, Timothy?
Yes, that is our last slide. Very good.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate the time. We appreciate you allowing us to be here. I really hope that some of the information that we shared today was super helpful. I think from the standpoint of just knowing that those resources are available, it's been wonderful to be able to serve in this role where I get to work with amazing organizations and partners like Jenny, just to one, learn more about the Autism Support of Alabama, how they're helping the community, how we can kind of lend support in that regard as well. So thank you. Jenny, I'll turn it back over to you.
Sheila, thank you so much. That was so informative. I've told you all before, I have a 24-year-old son with autism, and we bank at Regions personally, and Regions has been so helpful when we are depositing checks for him and, teaching him to do those things himself and using his debit card and, understanding how to use it responsibly. I've had some great assistance in store at our local Regions Bank, and just happy to partner with you guys to get this information out. I will be sending these slide decks out to those of you all that participated today, so you have those links. And we were going to do some social media reminders for folks that weren't able to make it today with all the things that Regions is providing for us as a community. Wonderful. Well, Sheila, thank you so much for your time and all of your resources. And we look forward to having you back again when you have more information.
Jenny, thanks team. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Y'all have a great day. Thank you so much. And remember, this webinar will be loaded up onto our YouTube page for you to share and watch again. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.